There we are.
There we go. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Two Unholy Healers. I'm Keryn Lee and I'm with Collean O'Brien today. And we are talking about embracing your inner Lucifer. And Colleen and I discussed this topic the other day. In fact, Colleen actually brought it up because we were talking about the TV series on Netflix called Lucifer. And we were talking about what an amazing show it was. Colleen was sharing about how when she watched it, it actually triggered quite a lot of stuff with her. And I loved the series. It was just such an amazing show. And we wanted to talk about this today because Lucifer really embodies an energy that is part of our human reality. We have people that, there's religions that are connected to the concept of Lucifer and how people perceive that. We have, it's connected to very sort of fifth plane beliefs around God and the devil and all of that sort of thing. But what we really wanted to look at today was how this show was really kind of exemplifying different aspects of us and what that brought up in us. And yeah, we just wanted to open that up for everyone. So if you have any questions or comments you would like to make, please pop them in the chat. We always love to hear from you. And Colleen, do you want to hit us off with wherever you'd like to go?
Yeah, sure. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for those who are watching. And if you're catching the replay, please do also comment because we know a lot of people catch this on the replay too. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for joining. And yes, Lucifer, in fact, when we came up with this idea 2 weeks ago, it was before our last episode, we almost changed the topic for our last episode. We were so excited about talking about Lucifer. We almost did this 2 weeks ago. But we wanted to honor the topic that we had advertised for the last time, which was also a great topic as well, all about divine timing and time. But yes, so Lucifer is it actually came out in 2016, which happens to be the same year that I started studying theta healing. And so it was on broadcast TV here. So there were commercial breaks and I would watch these shows and then I would get like, why do I feel weird? Like, what's going on? I was getting like beliefs were being bubbled up as I was watching the show. So during the commercial breaks, I would dig on myself and I would work on myself and try. And then I got really good at doing it within like the 2 minutes that you have before the show starts up again. But all that stuff, particularly that first season where, Lucifer is basically like this bratty teenager. Right? Like he is just whining about how life is unfair and his daddy doesn't love him and he's just being really rebellious and complaining about how his father treated him, and he's got, all of these relationship issues with God, who happens to be a dear old dad, as he calls him. I love it's so relatable. And it was bubbling up stuff that subconsciously I didn't even realize I had with issues that I had, beliefs about my own father, as well as issues that I had with my own relationship with God, and it was just brought up in an almost very playful way that you didn't even, sometimes when we go into healings, particularly when it's God stuff, it just feels so heavy, right? And this was just, it was delightful.
Yeah, amazing. And what I love about Lucifer is that he had a strong sense of who he is. Like he was Lucifer, he was the devil, and he would literally go about his day telling people, because here he is, he's decided that he's sick of hell. He goes on holiday, he's in Los Angeles, city of angels, and he's just wandering around. People say, hi, what's your name? I'm Lucifer. And he was literally telling people what do you do? Oh, I'm the king of hell or whatever. And people would just sort of, yeah, whatever, and not believe him. But he was always honest. He always told everyone exactly who he is. And if they didn't believe it, well, that's on them. So the beauty of that, and, when you really look at this show and look at it about how he is being himself in his daily life, no matter what the people around him think. And in a way, he kind of lets them fall over their own feet. He lets them kind of, just by being who he is, it brings up their points of view, their beliefs about that, their lack of belief in him, and their own stuff that they then have to deal with. But all the while, he's just being himself. And because people have such deep beliefs about Lucifer and the devil and all this sort of thing, they don't want to go there. They don't want to step into that and actually entertain the possibility that this guy actually might be Lucifer. And what would that actually mean if he was? And so throughout the series, we see this personal transformation of Lucifer. But having said that, he still doesn't change who he is. He gains more awareness about what that means, but he doesn't actually change. And I love that about this for him as a person, but also in terms of the way the writers put this show together, because so often I see writers change a character. It's like, oh, we want to, make this more interesting, or, we've done 3 seasons. Now let's make this person suddenly start having this trait. And it's like, no, don't do that. It's one of my pet peeves. It's like, that is not being true to the character. But this character of Lucifer, it remains constant. He never changes who he is, but he does evolve as a person or as a being. So, and I think in terms of how this relates to us, it's like, what if we could show up and 100% be who we are? Be Keryn, be Colleen, be Catherine. Hi, Catherine. Thanks for joining us. And for each of you watching, what if you could 100% show up in your life every day and just be you, no matter what anyone else thinks about that, no matter how other people perceive that? I think that's gold.
Yeah, because he's got a very strong sense of who he is. He's unapologetic about it. Yeah. And he's super confident about it. And like you said, he will not change who he is, even when he goes undercover, right? Like there's that one episode where they go to the high school reunion and he has to pretend to be somebody else. And the detective goes, "You didn't even try to look like that guy." And he goes, "Why would I try to look like somebody else? If I was that guy, I'd want to look like me."
Exactly.
So he's, it's borderline almost being in love with himself. Yeah. But he's, he doesn't apologize for who he is. But there is some self-hatred that goes on there. I mean, in the very first episode, you see that, he's physically maimed himself. He has cut off his wings. Yes. And then even when we get into the 5th season, when his brother's there and we actually, meet a physical embodiment of his father, his father actually asks him, because he's got the devil face. He's like, why did you choose that face? Because, inside that's how you really see yourself, is what his father told him. So, deep down, he really does see himself as a monster. Yeah. And now I remember there was an episode, I think it was in the 4th season, where he just sort of announced, he's like, "Oh, I fixed whatever problem he was having." He's like, "I fixed it. I hate myself. So like, now that I realize that, I can just move on." And then as the episode progressed, he kept manifesting into his demon form, his monster form. And, it wasn't until the very end where he just made the attempt to forgive himself that he was able to transform back into, the charismatic human, or at least humanoid or human-like form, if you will. And that's one of the great things. It's a visual medium. It's a fun character that they can tell that story of what's going on inside by changing his appearance outside. And we do that all the time, but more subtly, right? Like how often is somebody like, "Wow, you just look radiant today," right? Like if you're just feeling great and, people can just tell by the way that you show up, like you can absolutely light up a room, and so, but of course it could work both ways too. Like if you're having a really crappy day, people can smell that. They might not know consciously what's going on, but and they'll repel, you'll repel them.
Exactly. And I love that he had Linda, the therapist. So for those who haven't watched it, he would go to a therapist, and first of all, he was wasn't he paying her with sex? Didn't he pay her by
Yeah,
sex?
yeah. In the first episode,
hysterical.
they come with, she's a lead. Like they're trying to solve this crime, and she's a lead. And
That's
and
right.
they're like, why? He does that his what do you desire, right?
Yes,
But it doesn't work. It doesn't work on Chloe. It doesn't work on the detective. But it totally works on Linda. Dr. Linda. And so she's telling him, she's like, oh yeah, like I do hot yoga. Like she's totally coming on to him. It's completely inappropriate, for a therapist behavior or whatever. And so and he after they did after the crime was solved, like it was like the closing tag was he came back. And so so they had a relationship, which again totally inappropriate, which Lucifer does a whole lot of totally inappropriate behavior, but again he doesn't apologize for it, right?
No,
and
exactly.
And he didn't force her to do it. She was a willing participant.
It was her desire. He just allowed that. He was happy to go along with that and help her from his perspective. Like, sure, I can do that. No worries.
Right.
Okay, if you want to do that, whatever. And he was like that with everyone. What is your desire? Sure, you can have that. Okay, I want to be totally rich and famous. He would often make people's dreams come true. They would have that, and then he would bump into them a year or two later, and maybe something negative has happened because of that. Like, oh well, I lost my family, but hey, I got rich and famous, or something like that. So it really showed or highlighted some of those the incongruence in some of the things that we think we want and we don't have, and then when it's instantly given to you, it's like, well, how congruent was that was I in the first place, because I lost something else to have that. And it brings up all this stuff. And the other thing I wanted to mention was the daddy issues, which you briefly touched on before. The way he just calls God dad, and made it so relatable about having this issue with his father. And as you said, it brings up stuff around those daddy issues, which can trigger stuff in us, but also the stuff around, or the issues around God. So in this particular show, it kind of made God very relatable. And at different times in the show, first of all, we had God's wife come to earth. She was amazing. And then later on, we had God actually show up as well. So it kind of, made these characters very relatable, but at the same time bringing up our own stuff around Lucifer, the devil, God, evil, good, all of that sort of stuff in a humorous way, which was a very cool way to approach it. Sort of looking at a lot of these things. So I think that's interesting from the perspective of, when you're doing healing and stuff with people, you see a lot of stuff related to soul level beliefs, which is your fifth plane stuff. And this is all your God stuff, your God issues, and, things around that, which you often have to clear to, sort of allow yourself to, clear something. So some of these fifth plane beliefs are about, I have to be punished. I have to prove my love to God. And also about perhaps having to trade something to have something, like, I have to trade my eyesight to have the gift of sight, or something like that. So all of these are kind of fifth plane beliefs. And I think when we sort of start looking at some of that from that, God, Lucifer, devil perspective, it's really good to sort of clear those levels as well.
Yeah. And for the fifth plane, again, just to remind you guys, is that plane of duality, right? It's very black and white, right and wrong, and commitments, like those oaths, those vows of, having to trade something or exchange something in order to get something in return. And I sort of took this to a whole other level, because I had to be extra, right? And I actually created a whole workshop around this called "You versus the Creator," because I had been doing so much soul work, and it was on all this revenge energy I had about God, Like I was really angry at God and I really wanted to get even at God. I wanted to show up God. I'm like, you know what? You aren't doing such a great job there, buddy. Like, let me show you how it's done. I'm going to be God. And, there's a lot of energy around that, and it will totally mess you up, totally mess up your manifestations, totally get in your own way. And, I don't think that I might have been able to unfold all of that had I not been watching Lucifer to get to that point. But, it really was a lot easier because there was this example of, hey, here's this character who's got all this anger and resentment towards God. And it's not like I'm not necessarily a bad person for having it. It's like, all right, let me acknowledge it and let me work through it. And I could be my own Linda. I could be my own therapist, right? And heal that. And I do love that how the characters really influence how Lucifer chooses to evolve and how much of an influence Linda really was as the therapist on his journey, right? Like so much of his co-star of Chloe, the detective, right, his love interest, that gets an awful lot of the spotlight. But at the very end, that twist at the very end, spoiler alert for the end of season 6, where Lucifer has that epiphany and he says, wow, hell doesn't need a ruler, it needs a healer. It needs a healer of lost souls. And then in that last shot, he is, working with these people who had been sent to hell, these souls that have been sent to hell. And it's in a mock-up. It's, he created this thing in hell that is a replica of Linda's office, of her therapy office. So he chose to be a healer. And I think that's what a lot of us, we almost feel like we fall into being a healer, or it's something that it's sort of a last resort because, hey, we're struggling so much and we can't find anything else that works. But to be really empowered and be like, no, like I choose to be a healer, I am a healer, right? Because again, that's so in line with Lucifer's ideas. He doesn't do anything half, right? Like he's like, nope, I'm all in, this is it. He's never covert, right? Like even when they do some sort of police operation, they're like, hey, stay away. He's like, nope, he just walks right into the scene and he's like, hello, drug dealers, hi, Lucifer. Like, yep, the police wanted an element of surprise, but nope, I'm here, I'm announcing myself, right? What if you could be that? You could be that healer, like, hello sick people, like, hello people in need of healing, I'm here, right?
Just
like
show up.
Yeah.
So pop in the chat, guys, have you seen Lucifer? I really love that wording. What I mean, of course, is the TV show. But feel free to add any comments to that.
Well, and do you have any fears about Lucifer? I talked to a number of people who were like, you know what, I might have to skip that show. And I think it's also, now is a great time to mention too, this is our 13th episode. So maybe it's bringing up all sorts of fears for you guys. But yeah, some people were not, keen about talking about
the darkness, right? They instantly go to the darkness. Yes. So Catherine says, I've only seen series 1 ages ago, but I did enjoy it. Must start again and catch up. I am intrigued, especially with the I am a healer. I've been told in the past that I was not one. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Awesome.
Interesting.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Catherine. Yeah. And how did you react when somebody says that you're not a healer? Right? Like, I mean, I almost feel like that's somebody telling me that I don't have blue eyes. Like, what? Yeah.
You're not.
Yeah. Well, and I guess so much of it has to do with where it's coming from too, right?
Yeah, and just in the same vein, in my book, Secret Healer's Business, just gonna get a quick plug in there, guys. So with the book, I say in the beginning of this how I went to this class, and at the end of this, it was all about developing intuitive abilities, etc. And at the end of the class, the psychic ones were chosen to go into the advanced class, and I wasn't chosen. So that at the time, I was in my early 20s, that at the time was like devastating. Like I wanted this so bad. And I put all of my faith, I guess, at the time in what somebody else thought about me. But thankfully, I did not allow that to hold me back, and I kept going. And I have an amazing business now, and I work really intuitively with people. I was a tarot reader for about 8-9 years professionally, and so on. So it just goes to show that you can't allow others' perceptions to hold you back. You always have to be true to yourself. And yeah, Catherine says, I believe them. Absolutely. But I know now, hun, that you are not believing that anymore, right? You've definitely changed that one around. Peter says,
well,
I'll watching it soon. Awesome. Yeah, go for it, Peter. It's lots of fun. I think there's 6 seasons or something now?
There are 6 seasons and it's 93 episodes. So like the first 3 seasons, I think they had like 24 episodes each because it was on broadcast TV. I think that first season might only have 13. But then once it moved to Netflix, I think they were shorter seasons. I think there might only be 10. I think the last season there's only 10 episodes because of the coronavirus stuff. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I hope we didn't give you. I mean, we did give you a spoiler warning, Peter. I hope we didn't ruin some of the big plot points for you.
Because by the time he gets to the end of season 6, that it won't mean that much anyway. It'll all be fresh and new. But
yes, and it's so fun.
I am a healer.
And it's all caps. Listen, yes, you are. That's totally embracing your inner Lucifer right there. Like, yes, I am. Yeah, absolutely. Well done. Awesome. Yeah, and Peter, after you watch it, like, come back and comment on this thread and let us know what you thought. Right? Loved it, hated it, whatever. Yeah, it's, and we could go on and on and on. There's so much more. But we're at about 20 minutes, so maybe we need to. Is there any other final thoughts you've got?
Just quickly tap back into what you said about the people's perception of the Lucifer and the that fear. The minute someone says Lucifer, something, the fear that comes up. And I know the same thing sometimes when I'm working with a client who is perhaps new to healing or new to this stuff, and I like to talk to people and tell them what's coming up as I'm going through the healing and sort of share that experience, because I think it's important for them to have a conscious awareness of what's actually being cleared and what's happening. And if I find a demon or entity or something, I'll share that. But every now and then I'll get the sense to use different wording for this person, because they're just going to freak out. Oh my God, I'm possessed or something like that. And occasionally I will say the wording, and then I will say to people, don't freak out. That's just the wording that I use to identify this energy. Don't make any more of it than that. And then there's other people who are, sort of more familiar with that terminology. But it is interesting how much it brings up that energy in people. And I think that goes way, 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 way back to so many past lives and stuff that we've had, especially if we've had religious roles and that sort of thing. And this has been drummed into us, this good and evil. And I know, actually, I won't say that because that would be maybe construed as not appropriate, but it was just, an experience, let's say, the way I saw some children being taught in one of these institutions, let's say that, and it was really filling them with fear. And, when you look at it from this perspective, as everything is energy, that we can function from that place of no right, no wrong, no good, no bad, that we are in fact divine beings here choosing these experiences. And the concept of God and Lucifer are in fact concepts, that they're things that we've all sort of bought into at some level, but we don't have to make them real and true for us in our daily life,
Yeah, well said. Because there's an awful lot of stuff in the collective about just centuries of blaming the devil or what, and some of it dates back to when we didn't really have, the knowledge that we have about science and medicine, and, why were people getting sick, or why were crops failing, or, and so it was, it was the explanation that they were able to understand and grasp. But yeah, there's so much fear around it. And, it is interesting and quite a challenge, I think, for the writers that, how do you make it? He's almost an anti-hero, but he's got to be very likable. And then, how do you bring that into the modern era, but still stay true to, the legend, if you will, or, his backstory. And I think they've done a really, really great job of, again, like making him relatable, especially when they had like that family dinner. Like, it's totally this dysfunctional family, and it's just, angels and gods sitting around the table. And you're like, wow, this is worse than Thanksgiving at my house. Like,
I know. I totally agree. Like, massive, massive kudos to the writers. They did such a great job of this. It was just so entertaining, but at the same time, so poignant. And, you could really read many, many layers into it. And they were consistent with their writing. They did a really, really good job. Very good show.
Well, and I don't know if you've known, like, this is the original source material is a comic book. It's a comic book by DC Comics, and Neil Gaiman was one of the writers. So I think that's why, because he's just really a brilliant writer. Forgive me, I don't remember who the other lead writers are, because there were 2 or 3 of them. So I think that's part of why he's such a well-rounded character, and it's just such a rich springboard that they had for the TV series, because there was just so much there that they could draw from, and then just be more creative.
Yes, so go out and watch that if you haven't seen it, guys, because you will love it, I'm sure. It is on Netflix here in Australia, and is it Netflix in the States?
It's on Netflix in the States. There may be some other places you can get it. I don't know if you can get all 6 seasons in other outlets, because, like I said, Netflix did the seasons 4, 5, and 6, because it was on broadcast TV for the first 3 seasons, and then it got canceled, and then there was this whole Save Lucifer campaign on the internet from all the Lucy fans, and then Netflix picked it up in the 11th hour. They swooped in, and they're like, you know what, like, this seems like a good property for us, like, we'll totally take it, like, let's do another season or 2. So it should be available on Netflix, or very easy to find wherever you are in the world. So we highly recommend it. It's highly entertaining. We've only really scratched the surface. There's so many great characters, there's so many side stories, there's so, like, because it starts as a police procedural, but then, like, when you get a couple seasons in, like, there's a crime, there's a murder that they're trying to solve, but that's sort of in the background. Like, you're way more invested and interested in the characters, in their development, in their relationships, how things are changing for them, how they're dealing with the new situations in their lives. And and that's really a mark of a great show, is that's the shows that last for several seasons are because you're really into the main cast who keeps showing up every single episode.
All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap us up for today. Colleen, what do you got coming up in the next month or so?
Well, I am participating in an online event called the Heal-a-thon. Tickets just went on sale. You can go to healathon.com. That's all one word. And it is exclusive for Theta Healers in terms of who's offering the services. Anybody can come and buy a ticket and enjoy, but it is a 12-hour event. And so you can buy a general admission ticket, and you can listen to any and all of the speakers who are going to be taking part every half hour, talking about different things, different aspects of theta healing, different parts of their own experiences. I'm going to be one of the speakers. And then there's also readers as well. So you can sign up, opt to sign up for any one or a number of different little mini sessions or readings with any number of different healers as well. So, it's a great way to get a little taster, get to know some other theta healers, and really, it's just really going to be really fun. I'm really excited that it's an online sort of expo, but it's all theta healers. So I encourage you, there's more information at the healathon.com website. That's going to be taking place on Friday, November 19th. And it's starting at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, going to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So for those of you in Australia, it'll actually be ending on your Friday morning the 20th of November, and that happens to be when I'll be on. I'll be on those last 4 hours, so so you can catch me there. That's what I've, there's plenty of other stuff I got going on, but that's the big thing. And I also wanted to give a shout out and thank everybody who has been buying my book and for leaving the reviews. I'm really grateful for that. So thank you. And yeah, let me know if you're using the book, how it's working out for you, how it's helping you, how you're finding it, because I always love hearing from people who have read the book and used the book. So thank you very much for that.
Awesome. And same, if you don't have Secret Healers Business yet, pop out and grab yourself a copy. And if you do, feel free to leave a comment or a review somewhere. I would love to hear how you're going. Even drop me an email, whatever. I'd love to hear how people are finding the book and any questions, comments, etc. that they have about it. And I don't have a huge amount on at the moment. I have a couple of theta healing classes coming up, Young Creator, Manifesting, and then I've got another basic coming up in early December. So you can pop onto my website and check out all the details for them. But other than that, I'm just kind of chilling a little bit, and as we approach Christmas, and getting kind of warmed up for next year, for lots of cool stuff coming and lots of cool stuff happening. So yes, it's kind of like a regrouping at the moment. So but meanwhile, read the book, guys. Read the book.
Oh yeah, it's an awesome book. It's an awesome book. I actually picked it up the other day and started rereading it. So awesome. Yeah, it's just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So yes. So when's our next episode? Our next episode is going to be in another 2 weeks.
Yes.
November 3rd, Eastern. Still daylight time. We never change the clocks till so late here, but it'll be Thursday, November 4th, also daylight time, Australian daylight time, and so the same time. I don't know why. I'm sorry. I'm just tired.
Queen of time. Queen of time.
Queen of time.
Same back channel. And it's 9:45 a.m. Adelaide time, and you can find out wherever you are in the world if you are not in Adelaide. Yeah, thanks for being here, guys. Thank you for tapping in and coming and saying hi, and thanks for your comments, and we look forward. If you have any questions going forward, please feel free to email us, and we would love to have any suggestions that you have for future topics, etc. And we really appreciate you being here and love to hear from you. So thank you very much, guys. We will see you in 2 weeks' time.
Yep.
Bye.
At the beginning of November. Bye-bye.